saw a face in my closet. So I live with my boyfriend in a house he inherited by his mom. This house has been in their family since it was built and everyone says it's haunted. There's a bunch of crazy stories about it, but I'll just tell the one I have. To understand the story I gotta explain the closet. It sits in the middle of the house and has two doors, one to the kitchen and one to the bedroom. We have it blocked by a dresser in the bedroom because it's just that creepy. But in the kitchen the door doesn't latch, so it's usually open just a crack. So I'm walking past the closet with it cracked open to let the dogs out the back door, and yeah, I see a reffing face in there. I didn't even process it until I was already past it. It was just a split second glance into the dark closet as I walked by, but I very clearly saw what looked like one of those blank white masks with the small lion mouth holes. It looked like it was just floating in there and was like a foot taller than me. I'm about 5 feet too. Yeah, so I was understandably freaked out, but thought it was probably just something that was in there that I mistook for a face. I ran past it and went and told my boyfriend, who came with me, to check it out. We searched it and reenacted how I walked past it to see if it could been my eyes tricking me or something, but didn't find anything even close to what I saw. I tried to forget about it, but when we went into the bedroom our dog Honey started staring at the daughter closet that we have in there. We just joked about it, but then she started whining and growling and trying to jump up onto the door, scratching at it and acting really weird. That obviously shut us up and scared the crap out of me. She kept it up for like 20 minutes and my other dog Jackie was whining to running from the door in the bedroom to the door in the kitchen. After a while they calmed down, but kept their gourds up and didn't stop staring at the closet till they fell asleep. Best part is my boyfriend had to leave to work at 3:30 AM that night and left me alone with the closet demon. I heard a bump or two coming from it in the night, but other than that nothing else happened. Everyone in the family that stayed there has said the closet is haunted and that all the creepy stuff that happens in that house comes from that closet. After that we got a latch to make sure it stays closed. Thanks for reading, hope you enjoyed. Shadow Man. When I was small, me and my sister would sleep in the same bed. Every night we would leave the door open. Our room was right in front of the living room, so at night it would look pure pitch black. But also every night I would wake up and I'll see to what seemed like someone who was even more darker than the color black. I would see them peek through the door, and from what I remember, I would just stare at it. I didn't want to, but something in me will tell me to. It never moved, though we moved houses for other personal issues and I never saw it again. I don't know, I tell myself I was probably overreacting or hallucinating as always, or maybe it was just something about the house. I'll never know. The man in the hallway doesn't like me. Sorry for the vague title and lengthy read. I've had quite a few paranormal encounters, but most of them couldn't be chalked up 100% to something supernatural. This story is the same way. Anyway, my wife and I moved into a new house about 6 months ago and have had really weird things start happening. Not a lot, just once in a while. The first big thing happened a few months ago. We were laying in bed and had most of the house lights off, so it was pretty dim in the hallway. I cracked the door so our cat could leave if he wanted. We had both just laid down and were getting ready to fall asleep when we both saw something move in the hallway. I'll spare the details, but I searched the house for an intruder, found none, went back to bed. Just as we were getting settled again, we looked at the hall and both saw what looked like a man across the hall in a spare bedroom. Too dimly lit to see details, more of a silhouette. I rushed into the hallway, and by the time I flipped the light on it had vanished. Cue me redoing the intruder search. After that night we didn't see too much creepy stuff. The house doesn't feel haunted, if you know what I mean. However, a couple nights ago my wife was mumbling in her sleep. This is pretty normal. I was annoyed and wanted to sleep, so I shoved her to make her shut up, and she mumbled a sentence that ended with "doesn't like you." I laughed and said, "Who doesn't like me?" And she responded with the man in the hallway still asleep. She doesn't remember any of that. I was pretty spooked and tried to just fall asleep. The next day I was home alone and took a nap on the couch. I had a bad dream and woke up. I was still dreaming, but woke up in the dream on the couch. I looked at my phone and the time was 11:42. I was relieved it was just a nightmare, and I rolled over on the couch to see a boy standing by the couch, sopping wet pale blue lips, looked straight out of a horror film. He grabs me by the shoulders and shouts, "The man in the hallway doesn't like you." Then I woke up for real on the couch. The only thing weird is that when I my phone it was in fact 11:43, and I don't know how I knew that in my dream. I like to think my wife was just dreaming and spoke in her sleep. Then her words spooked me, causing a very vivid nightmare for me. But that doesn't explain whatever we both saw in the hall when we were awake. It also doesn't explain how my dream was so vivid I was able to know the exact time. Anyway, just wanted to share our weird story. Thanks for reading, guys. I'm scared of being in this house. I currently live on an Indian reservation, and as I grew older, I started to hear more and more about the house I grew up in. To start, when my parents were younger, they had insane parties in this house, and never really cared who came. There was always something negative going on though, as if these people brung some sort of negative energy into here. My parents have pictures they took of their parties and they don't even know who is in them, which has always been weird to me. My two older sisters had a friend who enjoyed doing black magic type of stuff here, even going on to tell me they saw a skull in the clouds right above the house later that night, and that's when most of the paranormal stuff started to happen. Similar haunting dreams, poltergeist activity, sometimes even seeing relatives after they've passed on. It all goes on and on. My siblings and I grew up experiencing the same things. Sometimes while walking away from the long dim hallway or simply chilling out in the living room, we feel someone or something watching us from behind, and none of us told each other about it until just recently. One night I decided to take a late night shower. Both of my parents and my younger sister were asleep, and while I'm getting out, I hear a child giggling, and it was very clear. I hear the kid again, and I quickly put on my clothes, run to my room, and I stay up all night, texting my brother about it, and he tells me he's heard the same exact laugh outside his window 2 years before that, while he was living here. I hope you'll have enjoyed reading this story, because I'm debating on posting more. I have so many paranormal experiences in my life and there are still some going on forever. So as long as I can remember, I've always had this feeling, like I'm being observed or watched. Like just this feeling, like I'm never alone no matter what. Things in my life would also go missing, just for them to be found in the wide open. One time I lost my DS when I was 11. I had searched my whole room and even remade my bed to look, only for me to find it on my pillow later in the night. I've never felt afraid by it, but as I've gotten older, I'm 20 now, it's been more active, it seems, in a negative way. A few years back I found a razor blade in my bed from my box cutter, which I haven't used in almost a year, so I'm still not sure how it got there. I live alone. I'll also find random slashes in things like my paper towels, blankets, chip bags, anything. So many random things will go missing and reappear. All things I haven't seen in years will appear seemingly out of thin air. I wanna say it a ghost or something, but I always heard they stayed anchored to a place, not a person, and I've moved dozens of times in my life. I'm not sure what has been following me my whole life. Do you ever see silhouettes under streetlights? This might sound weird, but I'm 100% serious. I've had night terrors my entire life. Currently 26 years old, haven't had one in a few months. As I get older they happen less and less frequently, but when they do happen they're more intense. When I was a teenager I would sleepwalk sometimes when I was having one, and I'd usually wake up walking down the street of my neighborhood or standing on my front porch. Sometimes though, I'd wake up under a streetlight, just standing there. I wouldn't be sitting down or anything. It would be like I just walked under the light and stood there. Well, obviously after waking up I'd head back home. For a while it sort of became the norm for me. I saw a couple different doctors about it, even had a brain scan, because I thought something might have been wrong with me, but it all came back normal. Well, one night I woke up under the light and started heading back home, but I had this really strong urge to look behind me. So I looked over my shoulder and I saw the outline of a person under the light. At the time I remember thinking, huh, that's weird. You'd think I'd be more nervous or something, but that was my reaction. I stopped sleepwalking after that night, but I still had terrors pretty frequently. Sometimes, though, at night, I can almost swear I can see the shape of a person under the streetlight near my apartment. I still live in the same town I lived in as a kid. Same street, actually. I'm just down on the other end now. Have any of you experienced something like this? Even now at 26, I just get this feeling when I walk outside at night after 11 PM, and now I avoid streetlights entirely when I'm walking my dog. If I have to walk near one, I always just look down. Thoughts? Thank you for watching. Like the video and leave a comment if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel, follow on Twitter, and join the Discord and subreddit so you never miss a new video.